Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of Connecting People, Changing Lives. My name is Karen Glasser, and I'm so happy that you have joined us today. And I'd like to throw this over to my amazing cohort and co-host, Nancy Ferrari. Good morning, Nancy. How are you?
Good morning, Karen. We're both a little nasally here. We've just fought a relentless cold virus, but I have to say it's so good to be back. And if people couldn't tell the way I posted, like, wow, we're back live, and we live for our Thursdays. And what a great Thursday it's going to be, because we've got a guest who I've known. I'm trying to think, Mary Fran. At least 4 years when you connected with me for your first book, Not Ready for Granny Panties, and I've been holding my giggles here because this is how it's going to be for the next half hour, and truly so excited that you're with Karen and I this morning, and for the viewers out there, we've missed you too. So, but you're in for a treat today, and I wanted to share a little bit about my good friend and just overall amazing. I call her sister because we can all relate to her. Mary Fran Bontempo is an award-winning author, speaker, humorist, and teacher who believes in the power of women. Yeah. For over 30 years, Mary Fran has written for and about women and girls, forging connections through humor and common experience. And I could go on, and we're going to talk about it within our conversation, but it was, she is the founder of the Humorous Lifestyle blog. It's not just her book, Not Ready for Granny Panties. I think all women can relate to that. My husband, when he saw that book on my coffee table, goes, oh boy, what's this about? And he laughs along with me, just as your new book, which is right here, The Woman's Book of Dirty Words. And as I put in the post, it's not what you think. So with that said, I warmly welcome you, Mary Fran, to our show, and good morning.
Good morning, Nancy and Karen. I am so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start with you, Mary Fran. So
what do we do with her?
So let's talk about Granny Panties, okay?
Yes.
What is the book? Oh, hello, my doggy just came in. What is the book about? What possessed you, and why did you decide to write about Granny Panties?
Well, it all started a number of years ago when I was going through one of those perfect storm moments where everything was just going south and swirling around in that, that whirlpool that everything goes down the drain. I was turning 50, the job market, I was a newspaper columnist, and they were all disappearing. My husband's business, the economy was tanking, we were having problems, and worst of all, I have a son who is doing wonderfully well now, but was at the time going through terrible issues with addiction and alcoholism. So it was a really, really dark place, and at one point I just thought, you know what? I can live here, or I can make the decision to not live here and try to deal with this in a lighter way. And a friend and I were talking one day about the whole aging thing. I hate that word.
Yes.
And I just happened to say to her, oh, I'm so not ready for granny panties. And then they went, there's something there. And it became about the mental granny panties, the ones that we wear up here, that age us and affect the way we live our lives and the way we feel. And I just thought, you know what, we're going to get rid of those. And that's where everything was born from.
What a great analogy. What a great analogy. In fact, I had no idea that that's what that was about, but that makes so much sense.
Yes.
I'm nearing the big 6-0 at this point, and I'm certainly not ready for that Granny Panties, literally or in my head.
Right. I always say, what's going on down there is your business. I don't know about that. I'm not worried about that.
Your mind is right there because you mentioned the word south before.
Right. It's up here.
Things
it's
are
up here I'm worried about.
Yeah, we got to stay in the north node, not the south node. Well, sometimes. But, oh my gosh.
So I know that you received the Erma Bombeck Writers Workshop and Humor Press, the recognition through them, and yes. I can tell just by listening to you talk, you're very much in that realm of being very, very poignant, very funny, very on point. What was it like to be recognized by that?
Well, when I was a kid, I read Erma Bombeck. I'm dating myself here, but, so what? I read Erma Bombeck's column. My mother was a fan, and I read her column every single day. And I think I was just touched, as everyone who read her work was, by the way she took these everyday experiences and made them, and let us see the humor in it, and the insanity in some of them. I mean, let's face it, everybody's got moments of insanity in their day. And I just thought that was such a wonderful outlook on life. So, to be recognized by the organization that was founded in her name, it was just such a joy, and it really validated that mindset of look at your life and find the lightness in it.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed. There's got to be humor, and I'll date myself too because I was in college and I remember reading her books, and that's what I was just thinking about that when we were talking about not ready for Granny Panties. Oh, would a 20-year-old read this? But of course they would, because we have so many more role models now. I mean, when you're saying aging, I have to thank Dr. Christiane Northrup for her spin on all of this. She goes, don't even say senior moment, just no anti-aging. She's talking about doing the Argentine tango, and I'm channeling her because that's how she does with her hands. But the thing is that we're embracing who we are as women. And this new book of yours, I was reading it out loud once again to my husband, and like how many times do we hear it, when something's going to send us up, oh, just relax.
Oh,
like really?
That
word.
It's a weapon. It's like a club where people kind of beat you over the head with it because they're not really saying, we want you to go to a spa and relax. They're saying, get off my back.
Yeah,
exactly. They're saying, get off my back, leave me alone, you're driving me crazy. So, it's about how can we take our power back with all of these words and not let them send us over the edge.
Right.
And a lot of it is just about, it's about communication with the word relax. And then sometimes it's about relaxing and just saying, you know what, you're right. I'm letting it go. I'll take care of myself. You guys take care of yourselves, and we'll just see where things end up.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
And you brought that one too. And with the way you write, it's like with vacations and stuff. Oh yeah, it's great for everyone else, but guess who's doing all the planning, all the unraveling, all the redoing, all the packing, and then you're just exhausted. That's when you need to go and relax.
That's where, yeah, right, exactly. Then go relax. But that's where all that came from, because I, just in talking to everyday conversations with women, and that's what all of these books that I write and the blogs are all about. It's just about everyday women and our conversations in our lives. But there's never, ever a woman that you say, oh, the holidays are coming, and she goes, oh, yay! And she goes, oh, we all have the same reaction. So, like I said, it's from that commonality that we have these shared experiences. And how can we take these things and just lighten our load?
So how do we redefine? I mean, I know it's important for us to redefine the way we think of these words. Why is that so important? I mean, is that going to be life-altering, do you think? Life-changing?
I think it is, and I think it's a direct result of our lives changing. The fact of the matter is that when we get to, at least for my audience and my place in life, we are at a certain point, and for many of us it's transitional. And we are transitioning out of the everyday micromanagement of our kids' lives. At least, let me qualify that. We should be transitioning out of it. We should be. We don't always do it. So, and that's part of the issue here. So part of it is taking those words that while we were micromanaging our kids' lives and had to run everybody's everything, and learning to go, okay, I'm backing off of this now, and now I'm turning some of it over to you. And in the process, it becomes life-changing for us because it allows us to get rid of some stuff.
Karen, you've got to be thinking of the line I told you.
Yeah.
Someone told me this line with as your children are they're becoming adults, and they're still wanting to be latched on, saying the cord's been cut. But I trust you'll know how to handle it, because you're giving them that responsibility, and also that you trust them. It's a really great line, and I've, if my children are watching, they'll say, yeah, I know, I've heard you say that, because hey, did we generationally, and I'm sure Mary Fran, you can see this, how in our generation there's none of this. There's an 18-year contract.
Right, that's it. We're done. Bye.
Somebody forgot to tell my 30-year-old. And he's getting married, and so there's a whole other set of things going on. But I use that with him all the time now, Nancy. I trust that you're going to come up with the right decision, or that you'll know what the right answer is.
Right.
So what are some of the dirty words? Let's talk about dirty words. I love that.
Obviously the first ones, and we talked about a little bit about holidays and the word relax, and of course really basic things like dinner. I mean, is there a woman in the world, unless you're going out to, and the word dinner follows it, is there anybody in the world who doesn't think, oh my God, dinner? It's just one of those kind of life sentences that once you get married and have a family, you're on the hook for dinner, and it doesn't stop when they're in their 30s. The language stops. It's not, Mom, what are we having for dinner tonight? They kind of soften it a little, and they say, oh, Mom, are you cooking tonight? Which basically transfers to, I'm still here, I'm still your problem, and yes, you're cooking, what are we having for dinner? They just don't say it in as many words. So, but again, it all goes back to sometimes just saying, you know what, no, I'm not cooking tonight. Figure it out. You'll figure it out. That's my version of that statement, by the way. Oh, you'll figure it out.
I love that. I mean, I do that with not just our kids, it's our husbands too, right?
Yes.
And I've learned, even though I do love to cook, and I actually would like to make dinner when I have the time to do it, but when I don't, I've actually learned, and don't feel guilty about it anymore.
Yes.
Tonight, let's go out to dinner, and I'll just say the word. It's not even, I'm not asking permission. I'm not asking how he feels about it. And, at the end of the day, I mean, I think our spouses or significant others, whomever we are in partnership with, if they know that it's going to be a little bit easier for their partner to go out to dinner that night, they're okay with it. I mean, but you have to be able to speak your truth, so to speak. Would you agree?
That's exactly right. And that's what it really comes down to. It comes down to taking the power back with these things. We are in a position right now where things are changing. So here's your opportunity, girls. Here's your opportunity. Take your power back and transition, change some of those things. And I talk early in the book about those kinds of words like vacation and holidays and dinner, but then we move on to other words like the word change and the word balance and those other kinds of words that are a little more conceptual, but nonetheless are dirty words for women, because change is scary for us. We've been doing the same thing for decades. But we have to realize that a little bit of that fear that comes along with change is an energizing thing. And it's time to grab onto it. Make a change. Start small, but make a change.
What's the worst is, oh, she's going through the change. Like,
not that change.
No, but you see, with the one word, all the different things that can come with it.
Right.
Yes.
And
exactly
like, don't go there. Just don't. Because then you will really see a change.
Yes. Oh, I'll change all right. You want to watch me?
You want to watch change? Watch change. So how do you feel about you mentioned the word balance, and I think that also is a dirty, I'm so in alignment with that. I think that's such a, I hear people say that all the time. I just want to have balance in my life. Well, what the hell does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything, because it's impossible. It is completely impossible to have balance, not to mention the fact that it would be boring. I mean, let's face it, balance means that everything is exactly even. And when does that ever happen? It doesn't happen. If you really make that one of your, one of your aspirations to have a balanced life, you are setting yourself up for failure. It's just not going to happen. It's not. I liken in the book, I liken balance to one of those Macy's Day Parade balloons that goes down the street, and it's got all these people hanging on to it. And one time it's going this way, and one time it's going that way, but it's never completely straight in the middle. And it's not going to be, and that's okay. Some days the balance is going to be more, tilted towards your family, which it has been. Some days it's going to be more tilted towards you. And as long as you make sure that you don't get lost in that equation, it's okay to not be completely balanced. Don't set yourself up for that kind of failure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I like to use the word harmony.
Yes.
When I'm referring to relationships, that, there's more playroom with that.
Exactly, exactly. That's exactly what it's about, Nancy. It's about finding room to play. In all of those words, there's a little bit of room to play in them and take advantage. And if that means, like for dinner, you want to eat a bowl of Cheerios one night and serve that, then do it. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Nobody's going to die from a bowl of Cheerios. It's fine.
And nobody's going to die from eating Chinese food in the morning for breakfast.
Exactly. If that floats your boat, then
go for it.
And you know what? One of the other dirty words is the word fine. We have gotten away from things being fine means that they're okay. So why does everything have to be a Pinterest show or, Instagrammed to the point where it's not even real anymore? Fine,
well, there's actually an acronym for the word fine: frustrated, insecure, neurotic, and excitable. Yeah.
I'm fine.
Fine. Oh gosh.
Well, and that is the other side. That is the other side of that word. We shouldn't say we're fine when we're not. There are two sides of it. As you said earlier, Nancy, a lot of these words have different meanings. And it's about recognizing that and making sure that you're sending the correct message that for you when you use those words.
I read something that was written to men in relationships, that when your wife says fine, you know you're in trouble.
We read the same book, and it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another thing where I talk about the communication. We're so used to being nice, which is another one of the dirty words, nice. That when people ask us if we're fine and what's wrong, when we say fine and we're not, how many times have you said that word and been grinding your teeth as it's coming out of your mouth?
Well, don't you think it's sort of also in alignment with the being vulnerable and allowing yourself to be vulnerable? And I think that women as a whole, and I don't like using generalities like this, but we tend to keep everything inside, and we don't want to appear vulnerable to the people in our world. We don't want to be vulnerable to our kids, to our significant others, and to other business people in our life, because somehow we've decided that being vulnerable makes us weak. And I know that's been a huge shift for me to be vulnerable, just to say I'm not okay. I don't have to give the whole story, but I thank you for asking, thank you for caring. Things are a little crazy right now, but I really appreciate your, and that's being vulnerable, and it has shifted my life hugely, hugely.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Karen, you make a valid point. The word vulnerable sometimes gets a bad rap because it is synonymous in many of our minds with weakness. But this is why words are so fun. If vulnerable doesn't work, then switch it to something else, like honest. I'm just being honest. I'm just being true to myself. I'm just trying to validate where I am right now. I mean, there was a show on many years ago called Spin City, and it was about spinning.
Oh, yeah.
You can spin anything. So if a certain word doesn't work for you or makes you feel negatively, then pick another word. We got a lot of them in the language. Pick another word.
Yeah, we absolutely do. One of the words that I'm starting to hate these days is the word transparent. I'm going to be I'm being transparent. Well, does that mean you've been not transparent and lying all along? I mean, we come up with these things that I'm loving talking with you. Nancy just told me how wonderful you are, but these words. This is such a fascinating conversation because words frame. And how do all of these words? How do your books dovetail with women's health issues?
Well, I think it all comes down to the stress that we live with every day, just by the natural course of our lives. But a lot of it reverts back to our self-talk, and that's where I say again about this whole thing about these mental granny panties that we wear, about how we perceive ourselves and how we talk to ourselves, and how we also allow other people to talk to us. And it is a matter, again, of reclaiming your power with these things. But it doesn't have to be an aggressive thing. That's the other side of it. The image of women who stand up for themselves. You know, you don't want to be called occasionally if it gets stuff done for you. But it doesn't have to be aggressive. It just has to be direct. Direct, you know? Here's how I feel. This is what I need to do right now. And it needs to be a statement. That's the other thing we women do. We say something and then we explain ourselves to death. Just make a statement and stop talking. This is how it has to be right now. Boom. The end.
Oh my gosh, I love you. I love you.
Keep it. And what I love now is, I say, you know, because the world can be so complicated. I'm hearing that. It's complicated. Just let's go back to simple. We all know how it was when we were young. And that's where I default back to, because that's when I was really who I am. And with all these trending words, like Karen brought up transparency and then the vulnerability and
authentic. That's another one. Authentic.
Even my husband knows. He goes, "Oh yeah, they're being their true and authentic."
Authentic selves. Oh God.
Well, I said, honey, that's outdated now. Now it's I don't know. I just default back into my value words. You know, being in my integrity. People should get that. You know. But this play on words, you know what? And I think it's because my love of grammar. Who in the heck started when they like on Facebook? They'll comment. They go, "True that."
No, it's not true that. It's true dat. D-A-T.
Well,
true dat.
Karen, people don't spell it that way. And I'm like, you're chopping up our language, and then then let's not even get started with the shortness of the words on texting and all that. But I want to tell you something. I interviewed someone who was an ex-CIA agent, and he wrote a book on spy secrets, and he said, I still use a flip phone. I have never sent a text in my life. I don't want people to know where I am, how to find me. If I want to find them, I'll find them. And, somehow we did it, right? Back in the day. We don't have to be everywhere. We're a hypocrisy here because we're saying we don't want to be everything to everybody anymore, right? But we walk around with this. Yeah. Yes. And guess where I'm at, and guess how I'm feeling, and hey, I'd love to have your take on you talk about change, how social media has really taken it to another level. Yeah, it really has, and I mean, obviously, not for the good necessarily, but I also think it comes down to recognizing and accepting what works for you, and recognizing that it's okay to ignore the other stuff. That's one of the commandments in the Not Ready for Granny Panties. Thou shalt ignore more. There's a lot of noise out there. It's okay to ignore it. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be on top of everything. You have to figure out what works for you and ignore the rest of it. It's fine. There's another one. That's a dirty one. It's fine. Karen tells me that once in a while. I go, are you kidding me? She goes, just Nancy, don't pay it. I have to follow my own advice, but sometimes I don't. And it's because I'm human. So I'm being vulnerable. I'm being vulnerable. And authentic. And your authentic self. So, Mary Fran, what challenges have you faced? I mean, that made you feel that you needed to come out with these books and your hysterical humor. I mean, you relate so well to people. What were the challenges, if you can give us an idea of what you faced and what you challenged? Well, as I said at the beginning of the broadcast, a lot of it was just the economic stuff that was going on, and still being in a place where we had kids in college and we needed to provide for them, and the business world was changing, the economy was changing, there was all that. I mean, that 50 number, when you're leading up to it, that 50, that's a scary place. And when you're getting up to it, quite frankly, I find it to be pretty wonderful right now. But probably the biggest thing that was life-changing for me were my son's issues, my son's addiction issues. I mean, that is a nightmare, and we struggled with it for, I'd say, at least 10 to 12 years in varying forms. And he was in rehab, and it finally got to a point where I realized that
I needed to take control as much as I could of that situation. And when I say that, I don't mean that I could control that situation, because you can't.
Mm-hmm.
But I could control whether or not I went down with his ship. And I decided I wasn't going to do that.
Amen.
That was not going to be my story. And I got to a point where I thought, I can't live here anymore, and I needed to move on. And that's where a lot of the Not Ready for Granny Panties stuff came from, and the humor came from. You have to find light. You have to find light. And it's there, but you have to look for it pretty hard sometimes. And I did, and I found it.
And there's a double entendre there, finding the light, the lightness in a situation, but also that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, exactly.
Most people that I have met, anyway, their brilliance has come from being deep down in that well. And it doesn't seem like you're ever going to get out.
It doesn't.
But
No.
you do. And that's why I love sharing people like you, because we are very relatable. We can all relate.
You know, everybody has a tragedy. Everybody has a story. Everybody has something that is that has had the potential to crush them. And most of us climb out of it. Most of us climb out of it. And I think we have to recognize and celebrate that about ourselves. You know, I always say, hey, I'm still standing. Every day that I'm standing, it's a victory. Woo, it's a win.
Who sang that song? It just went through my head.
I'm still standing.
It's Elton John, I think.
You're right, and that's like Christiane Northrup says with these milestone birthdays. She's don't celebrate the fact that it's a big birthday or whatever, but what you've accomplished within that year. Celebrate that, and you know, if it's a 40 or 50 or 60 or 70. Yeah, you know, make it if you want to be a bigger thing, but that can tailspin someone into a mild depression if they allow themselves to.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm getting from you is it's what we allow. And I just wanted to share something really, just because I'm looking in that direction, and we've got neighbors who have these barking dogs, and they just moved in, so I wasn't ready for a black lab to come jumping at me when I went threw the trash out, and I went, oh, I said some expletive word, and the guy just said, oh, just relax. I seriously, I said, but you know what? I said nothing. I said, I'm not giving him the benefit of what I'm thinking, and that I'm in my power. And now every time I go throw out the trash, I expect this dog, and if it barks, so what? I had to retrain myself. So that's just a little analogy how what you're sharing, we can change it for the better.
Yes. Yeah, it's about changing that mental. It's about tweaking and redefining, as you had said, Karen, about redefining things.
Right. So I'm sure that our listeners are wondering how they can get your books and how they can find more out about you. So let's tell everyone how they can get your books and where they can find you.
Well, the books are available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. They will also get them into the store, Barnes & Noble. If you want them, you can order it there. They'll get the book into the brick-and-mortar store. And I am online at MaryFranBontempo.com, as well as NotReadyForGrannyPanties.com, which is the blog. So I'd love to hear what your viewers have to think, and it's just been so wonderful having this conversation with you. What a delight.
Well, thank you for being with us. Nancy, any last thoughts?
I've got a lot of thoughts. Mary Fran, you are just as the moment I spoke with you a few years ago till right now, I just adore you. I know we'll be connected for a long, long, long time, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you for bringing this light and this humor into our world that we so desperately need. And let's just again, I feel like a child as I giggle with the two of you, and that's how it was, and that's how it should be.
Giggling is good. Giggling is good. So, and I feel the same way.
You can't frown when you're laughing or giggling, so that's
right. Exactly. Try to say Granny Panties with a frown on your face. You really can't. I also want to let our listeners and watchers know that we have put links right below this show to be able to go over to Amazon to check out your books, Mary Fran. Okay.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
So,
I wish you success and continued success. The world
well,
needs
and
you,
I feel
Fran.
the same about you, and I just wish everyone just grab onto the joy, grab onto the lightness. It's there, it doesn't take all that much to tweak your headset. You change 1,000,000 times a day. You can change your headset and get rid of the mental granny panties.
I love that. Mental granny pants. I'm going to be thinking about that all day long now, mental granny pants. We want to thank all of our listeners for being with us today. We know that you have a choice as to how you spend your time, and you chose to spend it with us. And for that, we are eternally grateful. And so as we say each and every week, have a great one this afternoon, and we will see you next week on the next episode of Connecting People, Changing Lives. Goodbye, everyone.